Good morning, pen friends. I hope you're well. Today I'm going to look at a pen I've been sent by Delta. This is their Dolce Vita in their new GlowUp line, and it's very, very pretty. Part of obviously the Delta Dolce Vita section. Their GlowUp is their, I guess the GlowUp meaning their revitalization or rejuvenation of their Dolce Vita line. If you're familiar with the older Dolce Vita model, it had an orange barrel in that Delta orange color, and is a very well-known pen. It's been out for quite a very long time, back in the days of the older Delta company. So the new model, it uses a Jonathan Brooks resin, and honestly it is so pretty. I'll just spin the pen around. You can have a bit of a look at that gorgeous orange swirl that runs through the pen, and it just looks like fire. It's actually quite gorgeous. You can also see that same resin runs through the cap banding there, and you've got your 4 cap bands which are slightly raised so they sit out from the pen. But yeah, that's a really very, very pretty model. Otherwise, looking at the barrel and the details, you've got your Delta clip with your ring that runs around the outside, your tapered top of the pen, and similarly tapered bottom of the pen. You obviously got your filler knob. This is a piston filler model, and you've got on the back it says Delta and GlowUp, and you get a number. So mine was number 285, and it says Dash Italy. So otherwise there's not a lot to the pen. It's a mid-sized pen. It's not massive, but it's definitely on the larger size. If we have a look at dimensions, it's 140 centimeters in length, so that's with the cap on. If we were to uncap the pen, it goes down to 147 mil capped, 133 mil uncapped. The barrel diameter is going to be 16 mil. The section diameter is 12.5 mil, and the weight is 35 grams. So it's not a massive pen. Definitely looking at the width of it, it's not an obscenely wide pen. The Mayura Everest is another model from them, which I've put up a review of. That is a much bigger pen, but it's definitely on the bigger size of their line. Delta also do an oversized and a mini model or an undersized model. I'm not sure if they'll be doing that in the GlowUp model, but definitely they do a couple of different sizes. This one though is their mid-size, their regular size, and to be honest, it's a nice size. It's a very comfortable pen to use. If we look at it in my hand, you can see the section tapers a little bit at the end, and there is a step down from the barrel, a very, very slight step, and then the barrel is relatively symmetrical and cylindrical before it tapers there at the end. You've obviously got your cap threads, and then you've got a slight taper on the barrel before you get to your piston knob on the end of the pen. Now if we have a look at this nib, you can see it is so beautiful. This is their KP nib, which is a pressed metal. They're a 14 karat gold nib, and I've actually don't think I've really seen many nibs that I would say are prettier than this one. This is so beautiful. And in fact, what I really like about it, you can see it looks almost black, and it's actually not black. That's just how the ink kind of pools and sits in there, and it's I've actually never seen a nib like it. It's really stunning. I believe the KP nib, when I was doing a bit of Googling, is a little bit softer than the regular 14 karat nibs. This nib is not soft as such. It's still a relatively stiff nib to write with, but I believe it is a little bit softer than their regular 14 karat models. Now when we look at the barrel, we can see one side of it does have this lovely orange sort of beautiful swirl, but the other side is otherwise relatively grey, and I guess that's always going to be a consideration when you buy a pen with a mixed resin barrel is that you're going to have variety, and I kind of think in some ways variety is quite nice in that every pen is unique in its own way. It's not just a mass-produced run of identical pens, but I think it's something to be considerate of, that a lot of the pens are not going to have as much orange as other pens. So I'm quite lucky with this specific pen that I do have quite a lot of orange and a nice mix of orange and grey. But as always, when you buy a resin sort of swirled pen, there is going to be variety, so something to be considerate of. I very much like that little bit of resin that they've put in the cap. I think it finishes it off really well and looks like a really very pretty pen. And I believe they've just released, I saw some pictures from Delta and Mayora, obviously being the same company, on Nino Marino's page the other day, with a version that had the resin in the cap as well. So they do both options, one with the resin in the cap and one without. I think it's a very, very pretty pen. I believe the price point is on the higher end for Delta. They obviously price themselves as being more of a premium model, and I definitely agree this is a beautiful premium pen. I believe they sit around the €600 mark, although I'm sure those prices fluctuate based on if you want a gold or a steel nib. I believe the KP nib is a little bit more expensive, so you've got different options there to consider as well. But a beautiful pen from Delta, and I will give you a writing sample now. So thank you for watching. Okay, here we are for my writing review of the Delta DolceVita. And the GlowUp model. Now, firstly, we can see it is very wet. It writes beautifully, it's lovely and smooth, but it is quite a wet pen, so good to consider if it's a pen you're considering. This one is the broad nib and does write quite broad. I find flow is very, very consistent, and I haven't had any hard starting or skipping, but I would note that it is quite wet. You can see line variation is, there is a little bit of softness, but no line variation as such. But yeah, it's honestly it's a very, very pleasant nib to use. I find it's wet. I find it's a really great writer. Obviously the detail on that nib is just beautiful as well, but it does write on the broader, wetter side. So if it's something you are considering, I would definitely consider that. Thank you very much again for watching my review of the Delta DolceVita GlowUp. I hope you've enjoyed it. Please let me know of any questions you might have, and there'll be further reviews coming. Thanks again.